Variety podcast that houses numerous series to cover mental health, empowerment, podcast framework, and various intimate theories to get to know the hosts, along with occasional movies reviews and dives in pop culture with our event podcast episode. The Uncommon Place digs into bringing guests on that stories don't fit the mold and are very different. WV stands for the great state of West Virginia, and every quarter we cover something in West Virginia. Stacey and myself, JR, are your hosts, so please come along for this venture to our Uncommon Place.
Howdy, everybody. My name is Wilbert Sparrow, JR Sparrow. You know me. This is WB Uncommonplace, and this episode is another arc in the series of the Death of Cinema. And we've been doing this series for 2 years now. And today, I have with me a professor of communication and media studies at St. Peter's University in Jersey City, New Jersey. His name is Professor Barna Donovan. Thank you for coming on the show today. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic, and thank you so much for the invitation. It's a fantastic topic that you want to talk about. So,
Now,
looking forward to chatting.
okay, now let's get into your accolades. Tell me what drawed you to cinema and tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Sure. Right. So you were saying that I'm a professor of media and communication at St. Peter's. I've been a film fanatic since I was a little kid. I mean, I was born in 1970, but I feel like I really came of age in the 1980s when you had films that became still iconic for today. So I studied film at the University of Miami. I studied film theory and history and screenwriting there, and then I was really interested in the research process of audiences and film. So while I also write about film, I had written 3 books about film studies and audiences, and then fiction as well. I have 3 novels that I've written, and that I'm just fascinated about the greater social context, the environment in which film is going on. So I do research on the film industry and audiences, and in this really fast shifting media landscape where people are not going to movies, maybe going to movies, maybe going to some movies, and I guess scholars and then the industry itself is grappling with where is this heading? What is the future of film entertainment? So all these questions just really fascinate me. So I studied that and I teach about it because I'm working with young people who want to work in the media, hopefully want to work in film. They're in an interesting position where the industry is shifting so quickly, but it's great to work with them and try to give them some guidance in establishing careers.
Okay, so one thing I want to ask you real quick, if you don't mind, could you tell us those 3 books and where people could find them?
Sure. Well, all of my books are available on Amazon.com or any of the booksellers. But I've written a book about the Asian impact on Hollywood action films, also a book about conspiracy theory films, and I teach a class about that where we look at the history of conspiracy theories and then how they influenced popular entertainment, and then in turn how films and television and all of the conspiracy entertainment might have influenced what kind of conspiracy theories people are believing in. And then it's actually based on my PhD dissertation book called Blood, Guns, and Testosterone, Action Films Audiences and the Thirst for Violence. There I studied the passionate fan bases of action adventure films. But, I thought that analyzing other people's work, looking at other people's films and stories. I found it interesting only so far. And I thought, you know what? I want to tell my own stories too. Maybe I'll have somebody else analyze that. So I had written 3 novels. 2 of them are these thriller slash science fiction hybrids. One of them is the first one that came out in 2018. It's called Confirmation: Investigations of the Unexplained, where if you're a fan of any of those ghost hunting and unexplained mystery reality shows, and that the plot deals with the cast of a show like that stumble onto a sudden unexplained mystery that's impacting the world. And then my second novel was The Cedar Valley Covenant, and that's also getting a suspense thriller, but very scary science fiction or horror science fiction into the plot. And then, if you like murder mysteries, my third book that came out in 2021 is called Fatal Pose. So it's a murder mystery set in the world of professional bodybuilding.
Oh,
And I'm just about to I'm finishing right now a sequel to that.
okay. And any of these, are you ever going to turn them into any screenplays or adapt them any way like that?
Well, if I were to get any interest in the adaptation of screenplays, I would know how to do it. So if anybody out in Hollywood is listening, can get in touch, and their people and my people, we can do lunch and we can go to the Polo Lounge and
Well,
schmooze. Absolutely, I'm completely open to it.
okay. Now, on to the topic of the death of cinema or the evolution, because with you, it could be the death or the evolution, and I'll get that from you. So here's the first question, and this is a gripping one. Is cinema really dead, or are we just witnessing a major transformation in how we define it?
I think it's we're in a transitionary period right now. I think we're seeing the evolution of film, both in terms of exhibition, where you watch the film, and also I would make a strong argument, and this is another one of my research projects I'm working on right now, is that how the very definition of film is changing, especially when we notice how you have the major studios chasing that golden fleece of the holy grail of the interconnected universe that Marvel has been able to do very well for years now, but everybody else is attempting to emulate. And then really what we notice with something like that is that you have the creation of a certain type of story and a certain look of the story, and of course where you're able to consume those stories or content really. So I would argue that we are going through a major shift in how we watch movies, but also how we define what a film is.
Okay. And with the cinematic universes, and I'll ask you this question: in the cinematic universes, theaters to me, with those things, especially the MCU, those things stretch across TV, games, comics, and all kinds of other areas except the theater. It comes at the theater's the final product, when they put everything together. And that could be even said with not name dropping, but if we go back to the Marvel universe, when you look at the last movie that came out before Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts is basically a movie that resulted from all the TV shows being built up. Do you believe theaters are still relevant in this age with the cinematic universe stretching across every platform, basically?
Yes and no, for depending on depending on what demographic group we're looking at. That apparently you do Generation Z and even millennials, very young people, they have there's some interesting data on how they watch films and how much films they watch. Because usually the thinking is that young people are not interested in going to the theater anymore, that they just want to go and grab their phones or their tablets and then just stream it from there, where they're going to say that, okay, yeah, that's great, it's in the movie theater, it's on a big screen, but I don't have the attention span to sit there. Let me just wait until it comes to a streaming platform, and I'm going to watch it there because I can watch the feature-length story there. But then with Marvel, it has all of these offshoots. It has these TV shows and sequels and prequels and spin-offs, and you'd have various other media outlets like comic books and novels or cartoons, where it requires you to go and essentially be online a lot, and then really the cinema is something that's almost an afterthought, because these films do show up on streaming so fast, and the studios are realizing they have to get them out there. I mean, here's an interesting example. Last night, I was streaming The Accountant 2 on
Okay.
Amazon Prime. I'd seen the first one streamed, not in the movie theater. I liked it a lot, so I was very excited when I noticed that the spring, specifically, let me see, on April 25th, The Accountant 2 came out in the movie theater. I didn't have a chance to watch it there, but I have Amazon Prime. I knew it was going to be coming there. I had no interest in seeing it in the theater. And sure enough, on June 5th, it was already streaming. Now, I'm already paying for Amazon Prime, so why should I get something like $15? That's about the price of a movie ticket. Why should I go and pay $15 for one film when my $15 from Amazon gives me more movies that I can watch in one lifetime? So yeah, at the the Accountant, as much as I enjoyed it, I hope they will make an Accountant 3, which I will stream. If Ben Affleck and the studio are listening to this, sorry guys, that's just the way it's going to be. I hope you are going to make it, but in the movie theater, it's probably not. And also the data right now is showing that older viewers, I mean, as old as, my God, this hits me. I mean, being a Generation Xer, and now I'm among the older people, that we're going to movies less and less. The baby boomer generation is going less and less. Though the Gen Zers, you can get them to the theater occasionally if it's the right film, if you're going to appeal to them correctly. And I mean, we can touch on some of the theories on what that can be.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now, another thing I wanted to ask you real quick, because you did dive into this. Like, I noticed this too. And me and you remember this gamble. HBO Max was the first during the pandemic. Was the first company, and I forgot if it was either Mortal Kombat or King Kong. One of them they put in theaters and they released directly to streaming, and they did that with like 4 movies. And that's where the whole death of cinema started coming around with me, because I told you about the way that I like to build a home theater, obviously with a projector and things like that. Because I can, during pandemic we were locked down, and then even after that, I realized that, hey, this is something that makes sense. Not necessarily with the streaming service, but we don't have to go into all the legal know-how, licensing, anything. But
Mhm.
have you, like, the way that streaming services have reshaped distribution? How do you feel that's had a take on the creative form of films themselves? Because me personally, I can tell you this: like, there were at least 6 movies in the last. Because we were on the other part of my other podcast, review movies. Sorry about that, I got a little tongue tied. And when we review movies, I'm telling you, I've seen a good example is a movie called Megan 2.0. It's an NBC Universal movie. That movie, its turnaround, it was only in theaters for 2 weeks, and then it was released on video on demand.
Mhm.
And now it's on the streaming service now, which is a month later from that time. But I've even noticed, like, that some movies almost just go to theaters for award
Wow.
consideration, and then streaming is where they live.
Mhm. Mhm.
So how do you think the creative form of films has been affected by streaming in general?
Right, that's an excellent question, because when you're going to be streaming it, you might not always be streaming it on a really great big screen in your living room. I mean, that will be one of the things that's going to be keeping people home. That you can walk into a Walmart these days, and for less than $1,000, buy a gigantic screen on your wall, and really excellent audio sound bars for it. So if you're watching something very visually striking, it will still look good there. But you have so many people, and again, the young people are on the move, and they all always need to be stimulated. And it's like their hands are surgically attached to their phones. That you will have a lot of people who will be watching films on small screens, or they will be watching them on the vertical screen of a small phone. So that's going to impact the aesthetics. Then instead of shooting, great big outdoor vistas, and where you see characters framed by a lot of background, by a lot of scenery, or when it just comes to the placement of characters on the screen. Like, for example, there are various photographic rules about that looks more interesting if you go and put characters off center, or they're talking in the same frame, that you see them on opposite sides of it, or even when you're focused on one character that they're slightly off center. That if you're going to be watching that on a vertical screen or something as tiny as a phone, now you're going to be just mindful of the way it looks. That maybe if somebody watches it on a phone, or somebody is going to be sharing it on a TikTok, or any of these platforms, then maybe you want to frame it differently. That you're going to go and put the characters now in the middle, where the edges are not so important anymore. So just the really the visual richness that used to be cinema is going to change. And then again, with the large scenery of, could be either science fiction or fantasy, that if people are consuming this on smaller screens, you just need to have a different approach to it. So visually, you're going to have that situation. But if now any film is going to be part of this long interconnected line of product, then you're wondering, for the screenwriters, for the directors, that is this almost like television used to be, that you don't have an auteur anymore, where maybe the auteurs are the producers. You have some like Kevin Feige off at Marvel at Disney, and that he's going to be the visual mastermind, and then you'll have creatives coming and going, where they're plugging films into some kind of a network of content with maybe a Marvel Bible about what you're supposed to be doing, what's been done, my goodness, decades ago, because our modern cycle of superhero movies, they're going roughly back to 2000 to 2000. So it's a quarter of a century. So if this big so if the story now has to be a part of this big juggernaut, and then the storyteller, the director, the screenwriter especially, they are really showing up and collecting a paycheck to write something that fits into that greater puzzle. So and I could see something like that being frustrating for filmmakers. So hopefully the paychecks for them are nice and large. But it's what right now, what a film is, what a story is. I think it's becoming more and more complicated to see.
And I agree with that, because in my little research that I've done, and just following things nowadays, there's two things that when I have these conversations with people, we can't actually tell you anymore if we get complete films or not, because usually a film becomes a part of a chapter in a media franchise, like you were just saying about Marvel, and then it blurs the lines between cinema and television, and there's no boundary anymore. Because me and growing up, there was a boundary. If you had a
Right.
successful TV show, which we can do a flip on one. There's only one thing that I ever seen go two different ways, and that was a TV show and the movie MASH.
Mhm.
And me and you both know which one came first and which one came second.
Right.
And that's the only time I ever, in the early part of life, could tell you that there wasn't no boundary, because the MASH movie came out, then the
Right.
television show. That's the
Sure.
only time that there, that I can remember. Is that about? That is correct, isn't it? Like that's the only thing that kind of didn't blur lines because it was like the movie came out, then the TV show came out, or sort of
I
like In the Heat of the Night. That did it too. In the Heat of the Night was a
Right,
movie, then a
right.
TV show.
Right. That you it's so I'm trying to think that it was the theatrical film, and then the TV show would come later on because with Heat of the
Yes.
Night that'll be coming in the 80s, and let's see, there was MASH. Well, MASH I think preceded this, but with success of the Planet of the Apes films, at one point, and I don't know off the top of my head what year in the 70s the TV show premiered, but there was a television series based on a live action because there was also a cartoon based on Planet of the Apes. But you had that movement from movie to small screen. So they might have been around the same time. So off the top of my head, I don't recall the premiere dates of the two shows. But overall, that has been the trend until you had until much recently, where then you had television programs well, here's an interesting one with Star Trek, that you had television, and then in 1979 you had the movie based on it,
Yes.
and then went back to television and more movies, and probably an early forerunner to what Marvel would be later doing, is that you had the Star Trek interconnected universe, and that you had
Yes.
the original series, then you had the movies based on it, and then a new TV show with the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, and then also with the multimedia that they had. I mean, you can probably build a Star Trek library and just put Star
Yes.
Trek novels in there and Star Trek comic books in there, and so it's the forerunner of the phenomenon. But yeah, traditionally it was always the movement from theatrical, because Hollywood always looked at film as being more prestigious. Like you would have movie stars who would never lower themselves to going and doing television.
Television. Yes, sir.
Aside from some interviews, like they would go on Johnny Carson, but actually playing a role in the television, certainly not.
It was a
That's
no-no.
so
Now,
yeah, usually
let me ask you.
mhm.
Oh, so let me ask you this one thing. So we're talking about audience behavior right now. We can both probably agree or disagree that moviegoers have become media consumers first. I believe that's your opinion, and film lovers second, right?
Sure. They want they want that hit of the exciting film, the interesting and open-ended Marvel film. Curious about where it's going to go next. So yeah, I think it's probably a correct thing to say, that they like the story first. And then afterwards, they're going to be the discerning cineasts.
Okay. Now, how do you feel about action films and superhero franchises changing the narrative expectations in cinema? Because this is what happened to me. When we were younger, there were failed attempts at making Fantastic Four movies. There were failed attempts at Incredible Hulk is the best one I can go with. Incredible Hulk, the TV show was amazing. The
It was
Spider,
totally
yeah. So that type of stuff, like I can understand that, but like when I think it was what started everything this go round. It was like Incredible Hulk and Iron Man started this arc this time, and then Captain America. Um, like how do you feel about them changing the narrative expectations? Because when I was growing up, things usually had like a three-act structure to it. They had serialized arcs, but they didn't have open-ended storylines. Like when something ended or was going somewhere, it had a sequel or something like that. It didn't go back and do prequels and all this extra stuff like John Wick series and all these other things have done.
Mhm.
Um, so, what is your thought on the narrative expectation, and what is your thought on the traditional three-act structure being replaced?
Mhm. Well, I think it's becoming a big gamble for Marvel, and now Warner Brothers is attempting to reboot DC universe with a new Superman film, and that it because we also hear the term superhero fatigue, that maybe The problem could be that if you have all of these open-ended stories that you have to then almost you feel like you have to do homework on it to be able to enjoy the next one.
Yes.
Because, if I watch a Marvel movie and then there's going to be another one coming in 2 years, but first they're going to make a TV series for Disney Plus, and oh my goodness, I have to go on budget and time to watch all of that. That you could possibly see audiences tuning out. And as a matter of fact, since the start of the so-called Phase 4 movies of Marvel, their box office has been in decline, and you do hear this from a lot of the films that they feel that there's just too much content. I feel like I need to be constantly consuming Marvel. I need to get the Disney Plus because I can't see them anywhere. If you have those the TV series, well, gosh, I can't see it anyplace. So I got to pay money for that, and then I need to sit there and watch this and invest all of this time in it. So that could be leading people to be tuning out. They feel that this is just so overwhelming.
And I agree with that. And I do. Now, let me ask you something about the impact of these post-credit scenes on the integrity of storytelling. Now, we know Marvel, you have to watch the end of it if you want to know what's going on with the next one. And like you said, the relationship between an audience and Marvel, it's almost like you said, it's almost like going to college to a degree.
Mhm.
You really have to jump in if you want to know every little thing. If you want to be able to catch every side story and everything that's going on, you have to go to a cartoon, comic book for reference first.
Mm.
Cartoon to get the window, the window appeal of it. Then when you actually get to the TV series, you got to watch out for this and that because they throw Easter eggs everywhere. Then when you
Sure.
go see the movie, you don't even care about the movie. All you're worried about is the post credit because that's what they programmed us to do now. You're worried about what the next movie is going to be out, when the X-Men are coming, or this or that. And
Mhm.
sometimes people, and I'm actually a person that's guilty of this. There was one movie called The Marvels with all of the Captain Marvel people in it. I didn't watch the movie. I literally waited till it got on Disney Plus. I skipped to the end because I seen the inclusion of the X-Men, and that's what I wanted to know
Sure.
about.
Right. Yeah. It seems like the gimmick is overtaking the story. Kind of like when there was a period with M. Night Shyamalan's films where he became known as just a twist ending guy, and audiences got to the point where they weren't even like really sitting there enjoying the story or paying attention to the story, but well, what's the big twist ending? So perhaps with the Marvel films now, you might have the same situation where audiences will go, okay. I'll go sit in there and I'll watch this, but what's the twist ending? And what are the Easter eggs and the gimmicks and the in jokes and there too, I think that definition of the traditional cinema is getting lost. That you feel like you're entering your Marvel land or Star Wars land. They've done the same thing to Star Wars, that rather than a one self-contained work of art, you have to be constantly interacting with this big busy universe. And then over time, another problem for well, Disney runs so many of these, and we'll see what happens with Superman and Warner Brothers, is that if it goes on for years and years, that will fans age out of it eventually, and then young viewers, I mean, really, kids get involved with their fandom of comic books and superheroes, in their tween years, teen years. That are they going to have the patience? To go and do a ton of homework. I mean, I've lost track of how many Marvel movies there have been. That is this going to be like a giant house of cards that will eventually fall in on itself. It's like more gimmick than actual art.
Right, and that's what I was getting at. Now, going to the theater, we're going to go back to the experience because me and you know what it's like to go to theaters. To me, I can't find something in a theater anymore that I can't make at home with the home theater, like I told you in the presentation that I can do. Is there something that's irreplaceable in seeing a film in a theater to you?
Mhm. Well, probably the social experience would be the one that you can't quite replicate at home. I mean, maybe you can get together with your family or with your friends. You know, throw a movie night, maybe like a binge watching movie night. We'll watch Star Wars, and you can geek out on it and come and dress up in costumes and wave your lightsaber around, and we could have like Star Wars themed food. But people who make the effort to go to the theater, they're going to say that I like that energy of being around other people, that when there's something really spectacular, really funny, or really moving going on on the screen, I'm realizing that everyone's gasping, or everyone's crying because it's so heartbreaking or so romantic. That sort of a social experience is what can save the movie theaters.
All right, now what is like a cultural or psychological role movie theaters played that once played that they're not doing now that's disappearing? Like, what do you see outside of what you just said? Because
Mhm.
I'll give you this one take right here, real quick. Now, when we do a movie night, when we do like so for an organization or something, we set everything up. We get box candy because that's one thing that I will say in this generation, I think honestly killed some of the enigma of the theater. Me and you both know that box candy wasn't relatively available like
Mhm.
it is now. You can get every piece of candy that used to be only at the theaters because there was a time Junior Mints didn't come in that box like that
Mhm.
and other
Mhm.
things, but now you can get literally every box candy you want now. But like with what we do, I can get every candle that someone wants. I can get a dedicated popcorn maker that is just like the one at the theater,
Mhm.
and that's how I sell the show. And with the sound and everything, and all the technology that we have, and portable devices that we can, like in audience, I am talking strictly about using a projector. I'm not talking about a TV or not like that. Just a projector and a screen, or even a projector in a wall or something. Like we're
Right.
able to give them a similar feeling. And I know the aesthetic of being in that cushy seat, but I mean, outside of that cushy seat and outside of that candy, a lot of those things have been made available now, and that's one thing that I've seen disappear. Is the idea like because now you have to gimmick theaters? They have bowling alleys in them now. There's a
Okay.
dinner while you're watching a movie, which that's a
Mhm.
whole Cinebistro type stuff is a whole different narrative. We could go on days about that, which I do like that. But what do you what do you see culturally like that's disappeared from theaters?
Well, if it's on that theme of the shared experience, sometimes people feel like the shared experience is disappearing. Like they might want to go there to experience emotions together with everybody, but it's a strange double-edged sword because when people go, the ones who do go into the movie theater, then you notice, oh my goodness, look, everyone's on their phone and they're not paying attention, they're not being moved the way that maybe I want to be moved, and I want to be part of that collective experience where everyone's wowed, where everyone's inspired, and then more than half the theater is on their phones. They're going and watching something on YouTube. It's the disconnection that I think people go to the theater and then suddenly they disconnect. Maybe it's just what younger viewers have just maybe their brains have developed like this, especially Generation Z, who have grown up in a world that was never without something being streamed or going and texting or emailing or anything like that, and that maybe they're just incapable of sitting still long enough without getting even more sensory input and even more interactive content because films classically they're a passive experience. You're sitting there and you're taking it in, and then maybe now if you have kids, you have teenagers or early 20 somethings, and they just constantly need the interactivity of a text or social media, that they go into a social place like a movie theater, but they're not taking part of it and in it anymore.
Okay, and I can see that. And for us, you and I, because I just turned 40 on the 13th, um, what I think theaters have done for me and you is all they become are cultural event spaces. And I'm going to go to one that makes sense for you and me right now. In the
Mhm,
month of June, it was the 50th anniversary of Jaws. And they
mhm.
pushed Jaws down our throat. Like you've seen it everywhere. I seen clothing, I seen things that you haven't seen.
Okay.
Remember the little golden books that the kids used to read? They
Sure.
actually had golden books of Jaws in a friendly manner, which I actually bought one of those because I was entertained by it. But I feel like for it to stay relevant for you and I, they have to make it a cultural event space for me to go to the theater. When I see that 50-year anniversary, I'm like, hey, I wasn't born 50 years ago, but I do remember Jaws. I remember, I wasn't born during the Star Wars time, but I know what it was like when episode one came out. My whole school, and this is how the impact of theater was. And I'll say this one thing: my whole seventh grade class, my school paid for us to go see episode one in a theater. And
Mhm.
I'm talking about that was four theaters full of
Right.
kids. So you like that experience, and me and you both get happy about that. But and I seen the smile on your face even with that. That experience is not there. And then my question to you is this one thing too. I don't see like the last generation of films that really captured people, in my opinion. You had your Harry Potters, you had your Lord of the Rings, you had, I think the last honest series may have been like maybe Divergent or something like that, that was based off books or something like that. We don't have strong series coming about books anymore. The culture
Mhm.
that we would reference to make these things, we don't, people don't grab to it. And if they do, it's something that's melodramatic, but we don't have that, like that anthology take
Sure.
that you got from things. Do you believe that that's another reason of the decline of cinema? Because like I can
Mhm.
honestly tell you that like, well, the next series I can go on is something very simple. The Paddington Bear movies, for
Mhm.
instance, even though
Mhm.
that's something
Right.
for children, it had an arc, but it did nothing. Me and you probably have only seen out of three movies. Me and you probably seen one or two, maybe not all three, but
Mhm.
we haven't had something outside of these superhero movies. We don't have like a Die Hard anymore. We don't have something that brings you to a theater because, oh my gosh, it's this movie, it's that series coming out now. We constantly get reboots, and me and you both know how reboots go. They just kind of do something for nostalgia, and then they do something for the new audience, but it's never built on. It's almost like it's like a weird parallel. We had good stories, and with the rise of AI and everything, it just seems like we're
Mhm.
kind of in creative masses is just going down. What is your thought
Mhm.
on all of this?
Mhm. I agree 1000%. You're absolutely right. And that oftentimes I'm thinking, I'm feeling really sorry for Generation Z, even millennials, that what are the movies that are really your own, that's something completely new, that you'll discover, and it's not the movie that your parents or your grandparents were watching. As a matter of fact, there was this interesting kind of a joke, a video on YouTube that somebody did, where they said that maybe something happened, something cosmic in 2012, and maybe the world did end, and we're plugged into a matrix. And then all of our culture is a recycling of things that did not advance past the early 2000s. Because, like you said, I mean, really, when was the last great epic based on books like Harry Potter or the Lord of the Rings? Who's looking to make a new series like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter? They're going and just repurposing it. We had a Lord of the Rings a TV show on Amazon Prime, or
Right.
heaven help us.
Even
Now,
an animated feature came out this year or
sure, sure,
last.
yeah,
It came out
yeah.
last year, and I
Hmm.
actually watched it, and I was like, "This is Japanese anime. This isn't Lord
Right,
of the
yeah.
Rings."
Sure, sure. If I'm an anime fan, I don't want to sit down and watch an anime of something that I've already seen the movies about. I go and turn to that because I'm a fan of Asian cinema too, and I go and turn to that because I want to be wowed by something original, completely different artistic sensibility, and I do not want to see an anime imitation of Lord of the Rings.
The Rings, right?
Yeah, yeah, and or my goodness. with Harry Potter. I mean, HBO is rebooting Harry Potter as a TV series. I mean, come on, aren't there other really great novels? Or HBO, they can go out to really great film schools like USC and UCLA. Or like go and look around in Los Angeles. There's a statistic that I heard that if you're in Los Angeles County and you randomly ask people on the street, how's the big screenplay coming along? One out of every three people is bound to say, I'm almost done. I'm working on it right now. So there's creativity out there. There's really great talent and good film programs. Why is the industry not using those people? I mean, probably what they will do with really great film students and graduates of programs like that, they will hire them, and then instead of letting them do their own thing, they're going to tell them, oh, here, well, we're working on a reboot of a TV series from the 1970s, so that's what we'd like you to do, or do something, some Marvel property, where I can imagine somebody like that think, oh, come on, please, can I show you my originality? And I think the culture is losing a lot when you don't have the development of more original things. Well, as a matter of fact, I have an interesting list
Okay.
where you go in and look at the 1980s, and then exactly 40 years down the road. I mean, usually people are saying the greatest year in film was 1939. Now, I'll argue it was 1984. And here's the list of just the films, completely original things. Well, except for
Okay.
one that came out in 1984. There's Footloose, there's Ghostbusters, Romancing the Stone, there's Beverly Hills Cop, there's Gremlins, Splash, there's The Natural, the first Karate Kid, and the first Terminator. There's Red Dawn, Nightmare on Elm Street, 16 Candles. And then there was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And so these were the biggest moneymakers of 1984. And really only one was a sequel. Everything else was original. Now you've had they've turned into franchises, and there's some of them in extended universes. But then you go 40 years down the timeline to last year, 2024, top movies: Inside Out 2, Deadpool and Wolverine. You had Despicable Me 4. There's Godzilla X Kong. There's Kung Fu Panda 4. Beetlejuice, right? So that's a sequel. There's Twisters. There was, for God's sakes, there's the Fall Guy. I mean, I don't know who under 50 even remembers the Fall Guy, this TV show from the early to mid 80s. And I'm looking at this, I'm thinking maybe we are in the Matrix, that there's this cultural stagnation. We just have this constant regurgitation of all of the old things. So I'm kind of feeling sorry for the for kids today.
And one thing I do want to add to your list that was an amazing film that came out in 1984, The Never-Ending Story.
Oh, okay, yes.
So 1984 was probably the greatest year for my generation and your, well, not yours, but
Oh, well,
well,
sure. I was 13 in 1984.
or yes,
So
so all right, so yeah, that is your generation and mine. So yeah, I could honestly agree with you on that because, like you said, there's no sound structure around anything great anymore. Because like I said, when I did that dive about what I was talking about, I can really tag on two franchises that I can think of, and that's Twilight and the Divergent series based off
yes.
books. Those were the
Sure.
last two
Yes.
series,
hmm
and then anything else after that, it hasn't
Mm.
amounted to anything. And then the rise of computer animation. That's another thing that I think I want to talk to you about that I think is a reason for the decline in cinema. Also, and what I'm talking about is like Pixar, for instance. Pixar made it too close to video games. When Pixar was at its peak, and I mean, they're still great, but when they were at their peak, people were tuning into computer animated stories and enjoying it more than the
Yeah.
traditional story. And
Sure.
now I think, and I'm going to ask your opinion on this. And now I think, like with the companies like DreamWorks and this and that, DreamWorks, instead of doing animation, they're flipping it back around to make live action films, like How to Train Your Dragon, the live
Yeah.
action version,
Mhm.
Mufasa, and all these adaptations of films that were animated to being live action now. I see that as a trend that will bring in people for nostalgia. But once again, it's, to me, like I said earlier, it's just a cinematic cultural event for that time, and then after that, we're done with it.
Right, right. That you go and get a little bit of a thrill. Either you get the nostalgia appeal of it, or something that is resembling a video game. And it could be something strategic on purpose from Hollywood, that they're saying, let's make it as much video game like, because with video games, it's a form of media that just goes and just constantly changes so often that, well, almost like every year or so. I'm not a big expert on video gaming. I think I lost interest in video game by the time I started college. So I remember playing with the Nintendo and Super Mario Bros.
Yeah.
That was about it. But you have now, apparently, some of the big blockbusters are done successfully based on video games, because video games are just really, the central pop culture for kids, for young people. So
Right.
the film industry is saying, okay, and we'll throw in the towel, that we'll not even going to try it, and then let's have these animated films, look more video game like, or be in the direct adaptations of video games, like Super Mario last year, which was very successful. That was entirely all animated, and then we had the live action and animated mashup of Minecraft this
Yes.
the spring, that was a gigantic. Also, they had with Minecraft. Minecraft is interesting about that point of the shared communal experience that we mentioned before. That the Minecraft fans, the teenagers who played Minecraft, they went to the theaters, and it became this interactive event where they would go and recite the dialogue from the film, or throw popcorn at the film at certain times. And there's a scene with the chicken jockey, and
Yes.
everybody
Yes.
jumped up and they're screaming chicken jockey. So there you see this sort of nexus of the two things: video game entertainment, but the interesting signaling that the the communal experience, that collective, group experience, is still something that young people crave. And so if you do the films right, if you go and do adaptations of these video games, or things that remind them of the media that's really important to them, like a video, or YouTube content. Like, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to pass out after this bit of news. Are you familiar with this YouTube video series called Skibbity Toilet?
Yes.
Okay, yes, that
And that's
apparently,
become a toy, and it's
yeah.
very,
I
yeah.
saw I saw a Skibbity Toilet mystery bag and the Walgreens just not long ago, and I heard that there are negotiations now for the adaptation of that into a feature-length film.
And that's going to be crazy, because me and you can talk about this, and this is something in depth. Highest grossing films of this year thus far. The number one film doesn't really relate to us. It's Nazi 2, which is a Beijing film. I mean, it's a Chinese film. But the number
Mhm.
two, Lilo and Stitch. The number three, a Minecraft movie. Number four, Jurassic World Rebirth. Number five is How to Train Your Dragon. Number six, Mission Impossible. Number seven, F1. We'll go back to that one. Number eight is Detective Chinatown 1900. Number
Mhm.
nine is Superman, and it keeps growing. We both know
Sure.
that. They may eventually will go up a little bit higher. Captain
Mhm.
America Brave New World was the last film thus far this year. Now,
Mhm.
going to number seven, F1 is the first film that is a hybrid film from a streaming company and Warner Brothers. And that streaming company is none other than Apple.
Mhm. Mhm.
And me and you both have seen this happen with Netflix and other, because Netflix has actually released movies in theaters. And, obviously HBO Max is Warner Brothers and different things there. But seeing F1 in its infancy into what it is now, which I haven't honestly went and seen the movie because it's not my interest. We just had a film about racing not too long ago, about the Lamborghini people or something, and that was my
Right.
interest. But F1, who
Uh-huh.
cares, in my opinion.
Uh-huh.
But to see a company like Apple
Yes.
have the seventh highest grossing film in the world right now,
Right.
does that kind of bother you a little bit about the future of cinema?
Right, that probably soon Apple is going to say, well, we don't need the movie theater anymore. That is true. We're a company whose even our primary product is not even film. I mean, Apple is not making most of its money off of movies. They're making it off of phones and computers. And then, then they dabbled in filmmaking. So if this is going to be if the profits on it keep rising, actually that's a film that I'd like to see. I thought, oh my goodness, it's
Yeah,
not a
me too.
sequel. It's not a superhero. It has Brad Pitt in it, and I like the occasional racing movie. I remember Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise. I
Yeah,
really like that film. Or even there was one Driven years ago with Sylvester Stallone.
I
So
remember that.
I like cars driving fast, so I haven't gotten around to seeing it yet. Just didn't have the time. But probably of everything that's coming out this summer, that was probably the one that I want to see the most. But since it's produced by Apple and they have their streaming service, that's a tech company. Maybe this is just the harbinger of the future, that the
Right.
content will be made for the devices that Apple makes.
And
And
and every but well, I was going to say it's going to probably be something that's complimentary, that when you buy the latest iPhone or the next MacBook or whatever, you'll get a copy of it, or you get a free month of Apple TV, which has all of their creations on there. And
yeah.
that's something we'll get to in a minute. But here's my thing: number 2 through 6 has some variation, with Jurassic World being a reboot of Jurassic World
Mhm.
or Jurassic Park. Mission Impossible being the final film with Tom Cruise. How to Train Your Dragon being an adaptation of the animation. A Minecraft movie being something totally new. That is something totally new in theaters. But Lilo and Stitch, like you said, and even with Superman at number 9 right now and Captain America, all those are reimaginations of movies we've already had. So I get your point, and I'm glad that we were able to discuss it earlier. And the only reason I normally don't go to you know, to films like that. But in China, China is like the highest grossing film market. We both know that right
Right.
now, and it to me it was just like, whoa, like how did this come about? And all this other stuff there. Now let me get to the next topic, because this is the last final one we'll do, and I'm gonna definitely have to have you back on the show again, because you can go down a rabbit hole for days.
Sure,
So
I'd love to.
all right. So my last point that I would like to talk about is this: how can creators, or no, let's not do that one first. Let's do this one. Is there any way that we can cultivate theaters?
If we can cultivate theaters, I think if theaters really focus on that extra added benefit of the social experience. Now, here's something interesting that you mentioned before, and I heard that there was some quantitative look at this as well. That when theaters did things like a 50th anniversary special or 40th anniversary special, or a special presentation of maybe like an Orson Welles double feature or something classic, then even young people turn out. Even the Generation Z, even the millennials are willing to go to the theater. That if it becomes some kind of a special event, that it looks like, and apparently there's this body of research now emerging about what is the COVID generation look like, and how do they behave. And it seems to suggest that while they like their social media and their portable media a lot, and they're really adept at it, and they expect it, they also have a need, probably because of the COVID lockdown they were under at such a sensitive age, is that they also have a need for a social experience, that they need to see people face to face, that you want to be together with in a crowd, have some music and have a discussion face to face with people and not just across a screen. So if movie theaters are able to sell a screening or some special event that way, that this is some kind of a, here you're getting an event really that you can't get anyplace else. That you're reliving living a film history. That apparently even kids, that they are aware that there was great art, generations before. There was good stuff made before I was born, and I'm willing to look at that. But make it an event for me. Make it fun. Make it something exciting. So the interactive event, that's I think is might be the future of cinemas if they want to stay in business.
Okay. And the other thing that gets me, like with the mom and pop theaters, and I love them, those are my favorite ones to go to. The way that Regal and AMC are getting everybody is the gimmick of popcorn buckets.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
on Friday, Fantastic Four will come out, and there
Mm-hmm.
will be a $90 head of Galactus, the villain in the movie, that will
Right.
light up and everything. So a $90 bucket for
Uh-huh.
your ice cream, I mean for your popcorn.
All
And I've
right.
seen it with other films, even with the Jurassic Park, because you got they were nice tickets. Like
Right.
they were, limited edition, this and that. So I see perks from the bigger theaters, but the mom and pop theaters or the branded theaters in certain states can't get that appeal. So I always know that the bigger places are going to stay around for a long time. We're going to have AMC's and Regal for a long time unless something
Yeah.
magically happens and they go bankrupt. But the
Mm-hmm.
mom and pop theaters are losing out because of these little novelties that come from these places. What is your thought about these novelties? And I'm not going to call them gimmicks, but some of them are gimmicks. But these
Oh, sure.
popcorn buckets that are bringing people
Okay.
in, like there was one for the last Aliens movie, and it
Mm-hmm.
had like it was all crazy looking.
Right, right. Yeah, it's oh, I'd call them gimmicks. Absolutely, it's a smart one because it seems to be working. I think that wasn't the first one, I believe, that they really focused on as something special was a huge sandworm shaped popcorn bucket for
Dune,
Dune 2. Yeah.
yes,
Then there's a big deal about that, and that got some people will go in there just so they can get the collectible. The thinking is that a big fan will want to go and collect as much merchandise, as much things related to the entertainment that he loves, and that people are going to go and turn out just so that they can put on their shelf, the Superman popcorn bucket. I understand there's a Superman popcorn bucket, or one for Fantastic Four. So it's really smart right now. However, I'm wondering how long this will last, or if at one point the gimmick will wear off, where people are going to say that, okay, on top of an expensive movie ticket, now you want me to go and pay even more money for a popcorn bucket. Sure, it was cute. I got the Dune one, I got Superman and Fantastic Four, but I think the audiences could get savvy to that, and especially if you go to a movie where it has the fancy popcorn bucket. But the movie's just not good. I mean, I would be angry at that. I go in there, I buy my popcorn bucket. I'm trying to enjoy a good movie with the popcorn. The popcorn is the only thing I'm enjoying because the movie stinks. Then I'm gonna say, okay, fool me once, shame on you, but you're not gonna fool me again. You won't draw me in just because you give me this plastic bucket.
and I thank you for that. Now, audience, in the show notes for the show, I will put information where you can reach Mr. Donovan across social media and everything like that. Now, the lasting thing that we need to do here is I need you to leave us with a mission statement on how to save the cinema, and that'll be our show.
Sure. So mission statement on how to save the cinema, support it, and going especially the mom and pop cinemas. I mean, I remember when the Lake Theater in Oak Park, Illinois, where I grew up. It was a small independent theater, and these establishments are run by people who love the art form. They love film. They dedicated their lives to this. So. and go and support it. And although I always say, don't, I would not expect people to just turn up for any film if they don't think that it's a premium content. And really, Hollywood needs to do that as well. Give the audiences a reason to go to a film. Give more, turn out more original content. But yeah, definitely support the independent cinemas and then the independent cinema managers. Think of the special events and how to turn it into that community event, that event that brings film fans together and gives them that extra bonus of the social contact aside from just seeing the movie.
And I thank you for that. So on that note, me and Barna Donovan are going to tune out. I'm JR. So we are out of here.
Please follow WV Uncommonplace on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, where we have some great content, Facebook, LinkedIn. Hit up the merch store at oncommonplace.square.site. Join the email list from the website, and rate, subscribe, and give feedback from your favorite podcatcher. And lastly, thanks for listening and tune into the next episode.